man, that fight tells us everything we need to know about Dalinar. He's a weapon, a tactician, he's wise, he can advise and guide this young king, and man, he's my favorite character so far. Here's how the Chasm Fiend battle tells you everything you need to know about Dalinar. The portion of the Way of Kings that I'm going to be talking about here is 2 chapters that are back-to-back called Unity and the 10 Heartbeats. They could have totally combined these chapters and renamed them Elkohar Cannot Be Contained, because, man, that man is reckless, and that's all he does in both these chapters is just charge into a race or charge into battle. He's charging into stuff, but let's not get too off topic here. I think this is an outstanding character introduction. First, Sanderson paints us a portrait of Dalinar by way of looking through his son Adolin's eyes. And this is the 3rd major character by this point in the story to where they've been introduced by first looking through the point of view of another character. And I think that's a really interesting way to do it, because we get to see how other people see him, and then we get to jump into his head and see, what he's really thinking. And I feel like the combination of these 2 chapters, Unity and the 10 Heartbeats, works so well together, because we kind of have Adolin breaking down who his father is, and then we see it come into action by the end of the chapter and during the Chasm Fiend battle. We get the detail that he's the only shard bearer in all of the military that doesn't decorate his armor. He is a weapon, and right away you could just tell he's all business. I like that. We also find out that Dalinar was a great warrior, and now people talk behind his back. So we can tell there's some kind of big problem, some kind of flaw, something bad is happening with this character. And so it makes me curious, I want to know more. And something happens right away once we're introduced to this character that I feel like is sort of a microcosm of the bigger picture here. I'll explain. I feel like basically Sanderson is telling us to trust Dalinar. And he's doing that by showing Dalinar as somebody who's hearing voices, and his son, well, he has his doubts, right? He thinks, oh no, my father is losing his mind. And so we as the reader, we question it. Is Dalinar losing his mind? And I think we get our answer later in the chapter, and that answer is no, but not, Sanderson doesn't come out and say, he's not losing touch with reality, these voices are real. No, instead what we get is Adolin questions his father and questions the idea of this entire hunt. He's saying, the king's been worried about assassinations, why are we even out here? This doesn't make any sense. And so we as the reader again question and go, okay, well, yeah, why are they out here anyways? And Dalinar explains to him, the king, he might be afraid of being assassinated, in his own home, but he's brave on the battlefield. And he needs to go out there and he needs to get his courage up. He needs to go and charge into battle. And people need to see him be confident in order for him to lead. And so you see Adolin is kind of like, okay, I see where he's coming from. How can people mock him behind his back when he has all this wisdom? And I think that's Sanderson's way of telling the audience, look, I'm dropping this character in front of you. People are going to question things about him. And you might question, oh, is he hearing voices? But you can trust Dalinar. You can trust that he has a plan. You can trust that even if he doesn't fully understand what's going on, he's going to try to do the right thing. And I think at this point, I don't think Dalinar's losing touch with reality. He's legitimately hearing somebody or some deity that's reaching out to him and trying to tell him to unite the people and do a good thing. And it's funny, if the voices were saying something, totally outlandish, like Adolin is great with the ladies or something, you'd be like, no, he's clearly losing it. He's losing his mind, whatever. But all they're saying, unite the people against, it sounds like a bigger threat. I think that's pretty reasonable. It might be a very tough thing to do, but it sounds like a reasonable thing. It sounds like that's something that the gods or the deities of this world would say, I guess. These 2 chapters play so well off of each other, the march up to the chasm and the actual battle with the Chasm Fiend, because on one hand, we get to see the dynamic between Dalinar and Elkohar, who is the king. And the king is like, let's race and let's, charge. And Dalinar's like, okay, whatever. And then, they go and they win, and he's happy that the king won. He's like, man, he needs this confidence. And Dalinar is kind of always looking at the big picture, I feel like. And then, of course, we have, Sadeas is clearly trying to be Dalinar's rival I don't know if Dalinar is aware or cares, but he's trying to mock him behind his back, things like that. I feel like it's more likely Sadeas and Adolin are going to be rivals and they're going to clash, but we'll see. So you have all these first impressions, so like, okay, here he is, racing, and here he is, interacting with his son, but then the chasm fiend appears and crawls out of the chasm, as they do, and right away, Dalinar, takes action. He goes with the advice that he just heard, moments ago from the master of the hunt, who was like, you have to go for the legs because it's huge and you can't just charge it head on. And so he starts, shouting orders, and Elkohar shouts out orders too. I like the way Sanderson shows their characters just in the way they bark orders. Like Elkohar is saying, archers fire, just attack, charge forward, let's go, let's get into it. And then Dalinar is just like, distract him from the unarmed people. We got to protect those who are unarmed. So he's already, in that moment, he's strategizing, he's going for the weak points, but he's also looking at the big picture. This man is in his natural habitat as soon as a fight breaks out. And I love that. And right away, we see how everybody else reacts in comparison, right? Sadeas, I think, really wants to be the next Dalinar. But he has a different approach. He goes with I believe they said it was like a newer technology with his grand bow. That only a shard bearer can wield this grand bow, but he runs for that. Meanwhile, Dalinar, being the lifelong soldier and tactician it seems like that he always has been, he starts fighting the chasm fiend right away. He says he knows instantly, there's no time to grab the other stuff. I just need to get involved, and Adolin follows his lead, and they both just start going according to the plan and start carrying it out. Elkohar, of course, is just charging like he does. But Sadeas, the rival, takes this approach where he's going for the newer thing. And I feel like Dalinar represents the old ways, Sadeas maybe the new ways. And I feel like this is setting up for a clash between Adolin, who's going to carry on the old ways, going up eventually against Sadeas. I don't know, but that's just what I'm predicting so far. So anyways, we see, Adolin carry out this attack as he should. But within this fight, man, you really see the dynamic between each and every character. Like, his son, he's raised Adolin to be just like him. And they both, boom, they're on the same page right away. He is the next Dalinar. Now, it's fantasy, so I feel like every good fantasy father figure dies immediately. I really hope that's not the case with this one, because I feel like they're setting up to where Dalinar dies and then Adolin carries on his ways. I hope that's not the case. I feel like Dalinar's important enough where he's going to carry on for a long time. Don't tell me if I'm right or wrong, I guess. So Dalinar and his son have cut away a little more than half the legs on this giant chasm fiend, and Elkohar is charging straight at its chest, which he's not going to be able to penetrate until they knock the beast on its side. So basically, they sort of have to trade off what they're doing. They have to also protect Elkohar from the giant claws that are coming down on him, but also keep cutting away the legs. Luckily, Sadeas finally shows up with his grand bow and starts also shooting the beast in the shoulder and kind of distracting it a bit, and that helps. So overall, they managed to defeat the chasm fiend. Dalinar makes sure that Elkohar is able to get the final blow, the death blow, and really reach in there and pull out this giant gemstone that's bigger than a man's head. And so again, not only does Dalinar sort of coordinate people throughout the battle, help win the battle, but he makes sure that the king looks good in this whole situation. And I feel like, man, that fight tells us everything we need to know about Dalinar. He's a weapon, a tactician, he's wise, he can advise and guide this young king, and man, he's my favorite character so far. Well, what did you guys think? As I'm only 210 pages into the Way of Kings, I'm trying to find ways to make content, as I do my read-through. I don't want to just put out a book review at the end, I want to do more than that. So let me know, was this something that you'd like to see more of, other, character intros? Also, if you enjoyed this, please subscribe, hit the like button, share. Every little action like that actually helps the video surprisingly a lot. So until next time, later.